Okay, so this week we talked about this in class, and this is part of the invention page for week 4 on addition and subtraction. And I knew for my kid this was going to be the first time she's ever seen functions and the function box and kind of a way to represent this. And so I asked actually the kids if anybody had seen this before in their math, because they are on some different levels, and nobody knew what this was. It was completely unfamiliar to them, or at least they thought it was unfamiliar. And I said, no, it's actually very familiar. You've already been using functions in your life and you already know how to use them. And so, of course, what I'm talking about is this section right in here where we are talking about the input, the functions, and the output, and then the inverse. And so let me show you some of the details on how I explained this to my kids this week in class, and hopefully it makes it fun and exciting and makes sense. I'm going to switch my pen color. Okay, so for functions, oh, I want a lot narrower than that. Sorry, hold on just a second. Okay, so for function, I said you can also see it written like this, f of x. Think of your function as a machine. So the machine is going to do something for you, okay? So we can pretend this is a machine. And your inputs are the things that are going into the machine. And the machine is going to do something with those inputs, and it's going to give you back out an output, something that it has done or created. So who has seen this before? And I asked them, and they didn't think they had seen that before on the page. But I said, who has heard of something called Minecraft? And of course, they're all raising their hands, and they're all laughing, and they're all excited that we're talking about Minecraft in math. And I said, okay, so let's take an example of a stove, okay? So my stove is like my function or my machine. And I am going to put into my stove sand and coal. And what is going to happen when I put sand and coal into my stove? And a couple of them knew that is going to create glass. Okay, I said, see, there's an example of a function. I said, how about if I had a crafting chest? Okay, and I'm going to take one stick and 2 iron blocks and put them into my crafting chest. What is that going to get me? This took a little bit longer for them to answer because I guess there's a million ways you can make different swords and things like that. I don't even know the answers to all this. I had to ask my kids because I do not play Minecraft. But apparently it will make you an iron sword, singular. Okay, so it makes an iron sword. All right, so there you go. You already see how functions work. You're taking something as an input, you're going to do something to it, and then you're going to get one output from that. So you already understand how functions work. Now let's talk about functions with a math example. So if I have my function box, and my function that I'm going to have is that it's x plus 2. So x is whatever my value is that I'm putting into my machine or my function. And so I'm going to add 2 to that to get my output. So in my example, if I have the number 1 and I put it into my box, that's like saying 1 plus 2 and I'll get 3. Or if I have the number 2 and I put it into my function, I'm going to get 2 plus 2, which is 4. Okay, so that's an example of how function works. What's really cool, oh, and I guess I should also point out that these numbers over here, we call that our domain. And the domain is what type of value can go in for your x. So what can be part of this x right here? And your domain could just be a whole number, like I've given here in the examples. It could be a rational number, it could be an imaginary number, it can be an expression. It could really be anything. And for them in complex, they could deal with anything being in that domain and going into this equation. And then we're just getting the one output for it. The other cool thing that functions do in math is that you can have the inverse function, and that is represented by this -1 little index number here on the f of x. So this is the inverse function. So what is the opposite of the function of x plus 2? It would be x minus 2. So if I take my 4 again and I put it into my inverse function, I'm saying 4 minus 2, and that is going to get me to the answer of 2. So functions in math have an inverse as well. You don't have an inverse up in Minecraft. I can't take my iron sword, stick it back in a crafting chest, and have it give me back a stick and a couple iron blocks in case I want to use those for something else. Minecraft doesn't work that way, but math gives us inverse, so math is even better than Minecraft and even cooler than Minecraft. So you can tell your students that little example, help them kind of see how functions work by bringing it back to Minecraft, which is something that it seems a lot of them know, and have fun with that.